Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Carl and this will be video 4.3 if I'm correct. In this video we will implement the reset system. Basically what we are going to do is we're going to create our first button, yay, which will reset the board and the moves to factory settings, basically. So first thing that we are going to do is in the panel from our canvas, right click, UI and button, TextMesh Pro. You can use the normal button if you want to. I'm just gonna make it a little bit larger. And then on the text component of the button, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna buff up its size a bit so it fits the button nicely. And I'm gonna rename the button to Reset Button. I'm going to drag this to the bottom part of the panel. Let's put it right about there so that there is space for other buttons for when we need it. Specifically an exit button for if you choose to implement it. Now we need to implement the functionality of this button. We are going to do that in two different scripts. First part is going to be in Game Manager. The second part is going to be in Cellpiece. But we're going to start in Cellpiece. So in private variables, we are going to create a vector free called start position. All this is going to do is it's going to record the start position when we start the game, so it can return to that position whenever we whenever we reset the game. So on the awake method, all we do is start position equals to transform to position. It gets the current position and it sets it to the start position. Now we need an event in the game manager that will tell all the cell pieces to move to their original positions. And we already have that. We do not have that yet. We have on GUI reset, but we still need a onboard reset. And since it's only going to be a normal event, all I'm going to do is public event handler onboard reset. The reason we're keeping these two separately is, let's say we want to reset the GUI or reset the board. If we put both of those into a single event, we won't have the functionality later on in a project to really customize the events to what we want to happen. Also, a nice habit of applying to your projects is whenever you want something to happen, it has to be its own event. What I mean by that is if you want event A to do something, let's say go to Canada, and you want event B to, let's say, paint the moon, you wouldn't want both of those things to be done on the same event because it's non-descriptive, it's confusing, and ultimately it's going to be not worth your while. So it's easier to split up different events or different actions into different events, so it's much easier to handle them in the different scripts. So now that we have the event, now we just need to call the event, and we already have a method for reset on void reset game. And just with the on GUI reset event, it is onboard reset !.invoke this / event args.empty. So now we actually call the event. Now we need something to happen. So on Cellpiece, in the awake method, we will subscribe to events. And we will do that through the game manager's instance. What we want to happen here is to set our original position or our current position to our original position. And this should work fine. There is, however, one more catch. The current method we are using for resetting the game is private. If there's nothing in front of the void, that means it's private. So let's just make this public. And when we go into Unity, we can now add an event or a action in the button, on the button script here on the on-click event. So we just click on the plus button to add another event or to add an event. We drag the game manager in there, game manager, and we go to reset game. Now, if you were to follow what I say and what I do, you would actually make it an event in UI Manager that communicates with the game manager, say, listen, this button was pressed, and then you were to send the event down back again to UI Manager to say, listen, this is what you need to do in case this button was pressed. But I just find that for a small project like this, it's easier to, especially with buttons, it's easier to drag in the direct method you want to call. So let's see if this works. Control is to save, and let's play. So after we... Why is 2 not working? Ladies and gentlemen, it would see our number 2 tile is not working. But that put aside, if we were to click on reset, voila, we are back at our starting position. Now, you would see that on the top left of our screen, our moves are still at 14. That is because we call the GUI reset before the game reset. So let's just fix that real quick. And that should fix the problem. Now to figure out why that pesky number 2 is not moving. Okay, so after a bit of fidgeting around, I found the problem. All we need to do is in Cellpiece, instead of subscribing to the Game Manager event in the awake method, all I did is I moved it to the start method. To be honest with you, I have no idea why this works, but nah, it's programming. If it works, it works. So now we have a working reset button. So no matter where we are, no matter what we did, we can always reset and we are back to the start. Okay, one of the things we forgot to do in the last video is we forgot to implement the onGUI reset. So what we are going to do is, instead of debugging.log event, we are just going to set our moves holder dot text equals to 0 dot equals to a string with a 0. And we can also do this within the start method, just to make sure it always starts on a 0. So if we go back to Unity, this should work fine. We start on 0 and we start moving our tiles, and if we reset, we are back to 0. So it would seem everything is moving fine, and we still have one more topic for the 4th segment, or the 4th series, or the... I really don't know what to call it. For video 4.4, that is pop-ups for when you win. We are going to create a custom event for that, that we will call from the game manager and the UI manager will subscribe to that. That will allow us to make a pop-up with a custom message. We're going to stick with one pop-up. You can expand the system for different kinds of pop-up messages. But for this project, I think it'll be fine just to include a single type of pop-up. So I will see you then.